You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Archer After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Archer After Show.
Hello there, Archer watchers. For the last time.
Hello.
That's right. At least the last time this season. It's sad. I know.
I'm crying.
Hey everybody, Bing is for doing, and we're here doing another episode of AFTERBUZZ TV for Archer.
I just want to slow zoom in on Jon right now for his tears.
Yes. If I had
so
tear ducts still, I would cry. Have them surgically removed.
That's a good decision, especially because we're all so incredibly sad that Sea Tunt Part 2 has closed out this season of Archer, and what a season it has been. Let me tell you.
I miss it already.
We have some really big major developments going on in this last episode.
Breaking developments.
Water-breaking developments.
Oh, hey-oh.
Yeah, that's right. Which in of itself is a play because the Sealab exploded. Lana's pregnant, everybody.
Oh, I just thought you were talking about the
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Hey, let's introduce ourselves.
Yeah, let's do that too. I'm Greg Goodness.
I'm John Barrett.
Dave Goodness,
You're not.
a.k.a. Dave Klein.
And I'm Scott Moore.
Also known as Scott Goodness.
Yes.
I'm also John Goodness. We're all his sister wives.
We are.
Exactly.
It's true.
This is the big.
true.
It's not the Big Love AfterBuzz show. It's just the Big Love
After Love
show. Yeah. Lana's pregnant. Speaking of loving and getting some and doing what people do, which is make babies, as I'm told. I want to go around the room and hear from everyone. When did you know in this episode that Lana was pregnant? Scott, when did you think she was pregnant?
The whole boobs comment.
You knew right off the bat?
Yeah, right when he started hinting at the fact that she was on her period, I was like, oh, she's pregnant.
Right. On her period, but not on her period.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna back them up on that. As soon as tampons were mentioned, I'm like, oh, Lana's pregnant.
See, I had the instinct right away. I was right with you guys, like, oh, Lana's pregnant. But we've seen this before where they've talked about Lana's breasts getting larger for some reason, and it never really went to, like, oh, well, she's pregnant now. So I was cautiously optimistic. I don't know.
But they're making so many.
The boy who cried wolf, huh?
Yeah.
I think it was just the length that they were going on about it for, the amount of time they spent on focusing on it. That was why I was like, okay, she must be pregnant.
So it was not just that, though, leading up to it. Obviously, it was that she was moody. We had that she was refusing to drink alcohol. What were some of the other telltale signs?
Her boobs were a little bit bigger.
Right. Bun in the oven.
She was throwing up.
Yeah, she was throwing up. That was a big one.
Though, to be fair, if you're under that much pressure and there's...
Physically,
right.
Yes.
Well,
literally.
You can be under pressure physically because that's a mental state of mind, too, and which then manifests itself with physical... I have no idea what I'm talking about anymore.
Greg is just making sounds at this point.
Well, Greg has a lot of personal
This is to be
experience
cut
with
off of the WebMD. And
Yeah, Greg has been pregnant several times.
I mean, the thing is, he had a couple surprises like Lana where he thought he was pregnant, but he wasn't, and now he's going through the actual motions of it.
I'm just really excited for Lana, so I'm at a loss for words. That's what my problem is.
He's sympathy pregnant.
Exactly. I'm gonna wear the baby go bump thing and everything.
And I'll just eat for 2 for the next 9 months.
Yeah, it's the sympathy way.
Which is 3 less than I normally eat for. Boom.
We've got Lions fan on the chat chiming saying that he didn't know that Lana was pregnant. His thoughts were that maybe she got a breast augmentation to make herself look better for self-confidence, love, or money. Maybe all three. I was shocked to find out tonight that she was pregnant.
That's a really detailed analysis of
very
all the
detailed.
reasons why a woman would possibly get breast enhancement. So good on you, Lions fan, for bringing that to our attention and flushing that out. That actually would make sense because Lana all this season has been suffering sort of a lack of confidence.
Yep.
We've been saying that she's not quite the you go girl, confident woman that she's always been.
And Archer has been complaining that her boobs have been sagging.
Yeah.
Oh,
throughout
yeah.
the
He's made many a comment about her boobs.
He's been a real jerk. But now Lana being pregnant has brought out the best in him, because as we saw, Lana clearly should have been the one that went brain dead for a couple of minutes.
Right.
On account of she's a lady and a swimmer, or not a good swimmer.
And
It has nothing to do with her race.
No,
Right.
nothing at all.
I love that off comment thrown in there. But Archer comes to her rescue and says, without even hesitating, by the way, which I think is
Yeah,
important,
that's a good point.
that you go in there and you're going to be a mommy and you got to be saved. So,
also, he requests that she be a better mother than his own.
and that she name her child after him.
Right, but that's after the fact.
Right.
Yeah.
And they can't do that.
The one quick request.
That wasn't what I thought the request was going to be. That's not what my request would be if I just cheated death.
But I think the big question is, well, then he did also decide to tickle
Oh, God.
tickle Ray. But I think the big question it leads to, and maybe this is more of a predictions thing that we'll get to later, is just who is the father?
Yeah.
Because it's not Cyril.
Well, she said it's a donor, right?
I don't think, did she?
did she?
say
I
I'm
don't think
pretty
she
sure
did.
she
I
I don't
said
think
that.
I think she
she?
just said Cyril was like, when were you gonna tell me? And her response was, when I finally got up the courage to tell you it's not yours.
Yeah.
I'm like 90% sure she said it was from a donor.
I don't remember.
I really
that,
doubt it's
but-
from a donor.
I'm like
though.
90% sure I heard those
I
words.
think
Chat,
Lana's
get on.
I was gonna say,
lying.
so you're 90% wrong now.
I think that even if Lana is saying that it's a donor, I don't think it is. I think
even
that
if she
it's
is, I know.
somebody we know.
Somewhere, yes, in the
Maybe
circle there.
Popeye from downstairs at Suds and Duds. He seems like he could be a good father. Stand up sort of
Totally.
guy.
Stable career.
Mr. Ford
He's got the
could be
stable
the
career.
father. We all want to see offspring of Mr. Ford. I'm wondering how it's going to predict her performance in the coming season.
Well, that's why they've had Pam be training as a lady field agent.
Yeah. That's a good
Oh, the
point.
pieces all fall into place.
Ah.
So this is
not
totally
saying, I'm just saying,
predictions,
guys.
but it is the season finale, so I think we're allowed to go off on it.
Yes.
Is she going to go out of the field entirely now? Is she going to totally disappear from shooting guns and
I mean, unless
dodging
I
cobras?
feel like unless it requires a pregnant agent, yes.
And you know there's going to be that situation, right? They're like, oh my God, someone's been stealing babies
We're getting.
out
I think
of the
we are.
maternity
We are
ward."
getting a little too into prediction territory at this point with that.
I think Lana will make a good mom. That's all
Probably.
I'm going to say. She seemed very attentive, and she can kill a man, which is always important.
That's a
so-
very important
Good
skill for mothers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got to protect her young there.
Yeah.
If I had
exactly.
$1 for every dude my mother killed growing up, I'd have a lot of dollars.
Can't even put a dollar value
I don't
on how
even.
many
I
dollars she'd
lost
have.
count after $6. So
I
That's
missed
the
out
highest you can
apparently. I missed out.
your mom wouldn't kill for you,
I guess not.
Dude.
Not more than 6.
dude. You have a shitty mom.
I didn't even make $6. Not even $6.
Wow.
Speaking of things that we would miss, some of us might have missed a few of the Sealab episodes.
You are just
Yeah.
killing it on
That were-
these segues.
I'm
Hey, Greg's on fire.
Right.
pour the compliments
Oh
on
my
me.
goodness, Greg, you are on fire.
Now he's going to have to practice over the off season now. Keep practicing.
Exactly, so I can stay at my peak performance level that I'm at right now, clearly. No, there are a lot of references to the old Sealab 2021 show throughout this episode, which was kind of the point. It's the return to Sealab and the return to Adam Reed's initial launching point in his career, the show that started everything for him on Adult Swim / Cartoon Network.
It was Cartoon Network at the time. There was no Adult Swim.
Right. Oh, that's right. It was just
It was
the
like probably
weird...
around like, was it Toonami? It was around the era of Toonami, right?
Yeah.
But it was probably just before Toonami.
Yeah, it was
Toonami
before
was
they
all
had
anime.
like a. It was before they had like a
Dedicated.
a dedicated stoner comedy.
But it was...
Yeah,
I think that Sealab 2021 was pretty much dedicated.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
It just wasn't branded.
yeah.
Yeah.
As such.
So
Around the
my
time of Aqua Teen
favorite.
Hunger Force, that was when it.
That's
Wasn't it a little? I think it predates Aqua Teen
predates
by a
Aqua
little
Teen
bit,
by a bit.
but
After Space Ghost.
Yeah.
Before Aqua Teen.
yeah, somewhere in that sweet spot.
Space Ghost.
you guys know your stuff.
Right? I'm like,
You're so
sure.
classic.
We just know William Street.
Exactly. Skull. Anyways, my favorite reference out of the night was Captain Howlin' Mad Murphy once again being crushed by an off-brand soda
Yes,
machine.
that was fantastic.
I'm just a little bummed that at no point was he given a intoxicating dose of poison from a scorpion.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
that's
expecting
too
a
bad.
scorpion to somehow pop out of there. You're like, oh no, our scorpion farm is loose, and then Howlin' Mad Murphy, already severed in half,
Yeah.
is suddenly filled with
It just
scorpion
came out of the
venom.
Jazz Cola soda.
But I
Yeah,
guess
can.
he did have, when the water got breached and went through, the entire blast of it went directly on him, if you guys noticed.
Yeah, it did. That was
Everyone
great.
else got out of the
Yeah.
way except for him. It smashed him. I was surprised he was still going after that, but I was also surprised by how little he was in the episode and how long it took for them to get to that point.
Yeah, because it kind of,
They
it was
kill
a big
him off,
build-up
like-
last
Yeah.
episode, and thinking, oh my gosh, there's gonna be a big crescendo finale
Yeah.
with him in it, and he really wasn't.
But they had to go to the bridge for him because that's where
Yeah.
the chair is, guys. It's where the chair is.
It's also
Also-
where we recognize that, but
Also, they had to go to Pod 6, and that's where the
Yes,
jerks
you-
are.
And you called that. You did call Pod 6
Those
there.
jerks are from there.
you know he's just like, Adam Reed's Race episode,
I gotta
reference Pod 6
mention Pod
somehow.
6.
Which was, of course, many episodes featured the jerks in Pod 6.
Those jerks from Pod 6.
Especially in my favorite episode, The Legend of Baggy Pants. Anyways, what other references were there that you guys picked up on? I mean, obviously the designs are very similar. The wetsuits I thought were pretty.
Yeah, the wetsuits look almost exactly like the wetsuits from back in the day.
I gotta say, I mean, there weren't a huge amount of references, which is something we were talking about before we came on the show, and I think that was actually sort of a smart choice, because if they had just constantly done Sealab 2021 references the whole time, people who hadn't seen the show would just go completely over their head, and then at the same time, you don't want it to basically be just like you're rehashing in a
Yeah,
show that
you
you've
want-
already made.
Good point. You don't want it to take over.
Because then it's like, well, then what's the point
show.
of watching Sealab 2021 if every single joke is just in this episode?
Yeah, I saw a lot of similarity, at least in how much they took from the source material, I guess if you want to say, between this episode and the Bob's Burgers episode.
Yeah.
That they
Yeah,
did,
it's about the same
yeah.
amount.
where it's you clearly recognize, especially in the art design, like what this is, but you
yeah.
don't necessarily need to have seen the prior
Or, yeah, I
show
was
to
gonna say,
know
if
what's
you
going
weren't
on.
someone that had watched that show, you could still be in on it.
But on that
the
note,
jokes are
Archer
there.
had a mustache again. On the Bob's Burgers note.
Yeah, it
and-
began and ended with the mustache.
He should
there.
just keep the
Yes.
mustache, man. He should just keep it.
It looks good.
And Ray did not have a mustache.
He should grow that mustache back, man. He should grow it back.
We should probably mention the Krieger moment, because I know we've got some fans who absolutely love Krieger and would hate us forever if we don't mention Krieger's moment, because it was fantastic.
It was.
Right.
It was great.
Neil purting along as he's
Yeah, drumming along to
pound of-
Neil Peart while he's just keyed off his butt
Yes,
on
and
a
shirtless.
small mountain of cocaine.
Just, a little mountain of cocaine.
And he's making modifications on, I think it was an AK-47. It was some sort of automatic rifle, it looked like. God bless Krieger.
Oh yeah.
It was pretty great too. Like Archer, of course, Archer always is the one who sort of causes things to go wrong, but he really tried this time not to let it happen. But it was just Krieger deciding that the safe button was not the safety.
Right. Even Krieger's not that stupid, but he is.
Yeah.
Which caused Sealab to explode, which I guess is kind of a reference to the past seasons, because Sealab is always destroyed in Sealab
Yeah.
2021.
Basically,
that
every
makes
episode in the first season ends with it being destroyed, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I was disappointed that we didn't get to see some of the other cast members from Sealab 2021. I was expecting sort of the return of Stormy and Debbie and maybe some of those people, but it makes sense for the episode.
And I think what you're going back to, and because all the other characters were there on this episode of Archer, you couldn't really. I don't think you had room to be bringing extra people.
Well, I don't know. I thought there was supposed to be like two score. 4 score people there.
4 score.
But that's coming from Cheryl's brother, who thought that he somehow had nuclear or poison gas-tipped weapons.
He didn't read the budget.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Cecil.
how would he know?
Cecil's his name again.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, what was Cheryl? What was that? Was that rubber cement? What was that thing that
that was rubber cement?
Was that? Okay,
yeah,
that's
her
what I was
rubber
thinking.
cement.
I was like rubber cement.
Her rubber cement habit's back.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. Is she was back with that again, but she was just kind of playing around with it. Yeah, it's like, what's going on with that? And then I saw more of the alcoholism there between mother and son, between Archer and Mallory here. Like,
she knows how to make a Bellini out of
it's like almost a Bellini.
Moonshine.
Yeah, almost. And then him like, I just need something light, like a coffee liqueur.
Right.
It was also
Liqueur de Cafe, which was great too on the label.
And it was also great how pissed off she was about the lack of alcohol because Archer had taken it all.
Well, that's a funny point to bring up, is that there were a lot of people on the boat when we're spending so much time on Sealab under the sea.
We're looking for them.
But before we get to that, we got some business to take care of. Because this is a business, y'all.
That's right.
We're in this for the money.
Yes, we are. We literally have millions of dollars at our disposal. We could build 1 million Sealabs if we wanted to.
Well, it was only, $200 million for Sealab.
Yeah, nothing. I could build 6 Sealabs
I mean, come on.
tomorrow.
And why don't you tell them why we can afford $200 million?
Because so many people are giving us positive reviews on iTunes. Don't you know that for every review that we get $10 billion?
Billion.
That's what iTunes is worth. We're in the new paradigm of shifting economics from hard brick and mortar stores into online digital downloads.
Greg is now making things up again.
What I'm not making up
You got me
is that
excited.
we
I was like,
need
whoa.
you to go in on iTunes and comment and tell us how we're doing.
right.
Give us a rating. Let us know how you think that we're doing, because
2 stars.
honestly, it does keep the lights on. We're constantly on the
1
bubble
star.
here of renewal of whether we're coming back. And if you show us some love, we might come back for another season.
Or show us some hate. Tell us what we're doing wrong so we come back better.
Like, should we all have mustaches?
Yes,
Should we all have mustaches? I think yes.
Or do we look far more gay without mustaches?
These are important
Comment.
questions.
need to know.
questions we need to know.
Tell
Let
us.
know.
I'll come
Please.
back with a Fu Manchu if you want it.
Please. I'll comment. I'll key that up. Oh, back to the boat.
I'm like, yeah, don't get me
as
too
it
excited
were.
over here.
Mallory has a serious drinking problem,
Yeah,
which
she
is
does.
demonstrated. We've seen it before, but this is Mallory hitting rock bottom, I think. Is drinking.
I believe the first words we hear her say are, "How are none of these a mini bar?"
Well, also, like, when Archer and them are in trouble, she just doesn't care at the end, and she's just like,
No, she wants to go to Bermuda, right?
Yeah, because
duty-free champagne.
duty-free champagne, duty-free liquor.
Exactly.
So that, because they can drink away their sorrows. That's all that matters.
She's pretty keyed up on moonshine, though. Grain alcohol, ethanol, corn subsidies.
She drank like an
Very happy with that.
entire mason jar of moonshine in one gulp.
Before making more.
Which, if you were paying attention to, what is it, Bloody Ferlin? Was that the episode? Archer drank an entire mason jar full of moonshine, and he immediately got sick. So Mallory's tolerance is beating that of her
point.
significantly younger, heavier built son.
Well, he's got time to catch up.
Mallory just has an iron liver, is
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say.
I don't think there's ever a point when Mallory's in her office that she's not holding a drink.
Yep.
When I think about it, I think she always has one in her hand.
It's a requisite.
It is. So I can understand. You're trapped at the bottom of the sea and you're running out of alcohol.
Yeah, she's the Roger Sterling of this world.
To be fair, though, the one who actually came prepared for that situation was Pam. So
Who is
What is-
gay
what a
for
transition.
doomsday? As Cheryl said.
is that a thing, that you're supposed to keep a whole bunch of booze in your bug out bag for when the end of the world comes?
Yes.
I mean, of course.
What are you gonna have in
I
your
keep
bug
an
out bag?
emergency stash everywhere I go.
Wait,
just in
everyone,
case.
I need to know the answer to this. What's gonna be in your bug out bag, Greg? And if the answer isn't 6 bottles of $2 Chuck, I'll eat my shoe.
I think, well, yeah, for economics, if I had my choice of like, oh, it's the end of the world, I'm going to get what I want, then I would get some really top shelf booze. But yeah, things being as they are, $2 Chuck, and I don't know, just enough rope to hang myself, as the expression goes. How about you?
Fairly similar. I'd go with Old Crow. Old Crow and enough rope to hang myself. And I don't know, like some pizza.
Okay.
I'll get some pizza. I'll watch some Frisky Dingo, drink all of a handle of Old Crow, and then
and then cry while watching Frisky Dingo, and you'd be naked too.
Dave,
but only no pants.
Obviously.
Only no pants.
That's right. I never take my shirt off.
bug out bag. Dave, what's in it?
My bug out bag would just contain. All it would have is just boxes and boxes of cereal.
That sounds like a Pam bug out bag.
It doesn't matter. That's all I want. I would just start gorging out on cereal. That stuff can last.
I know. I'd have all the bad cereal you're not supposed to have. You know, like the Cocoa Puffs and the Captain
Cinnamon
Crunch.
Toast
and
Crunch.
Yeah, I'd just fill it up. I'd have my own moonshine, and then I'd watch all of you all kill yourself, and then the world wouldn't end. I'd still be alive.
I'd just be hyped up on sugar, man. I could start digging for like 5 minutes, then have a sugar crash, pass out, and then when the world ends, I'm passed out.
Someone else who is hyped up throughout this episode, Carol Cheryl.
Yes.
Out of her mind on glue, as we were talking about earlier. And as it turns out, she had reason to be suspicious of her brother, because we knew that he was after her inheritance. What we didn't know is he was actually broke, which I thought was an interesting turn of events that I didn't necessarily see coming.
I didn't either.
I didn't either. And
I think I had something in common with him.
Those charities have, but after our $10 billion.
I haven't seen that check yet, though.
He spent it all on his own Sealab.
It's because Greg's been taking all the checks for all of us. Yeah, I didn't see that either though, and then it was like $200 million just for the Sealab. But those charities are expensive. Right. And he clearly had no idea what he was doing too. I guess like prepaid 3 years salary immediately, so they all left after 1 year. Except for Captain Murphy.
Yeah, what was his $600,000? Captain Murphy's $600,000
a year
salary.
3-year guarantee. Terrible negotiator, that guy. And Pam has a sister that we didn't know about.
Edie, yeah.
Which is an appropriate name for someone growing up on a dairy farm, I feel like. That's probably where it needs to be.
And for someone who would hold a knife to Pam's neck.
Right. Well, not just to it, but into it. Stabbed her right in the neck.
I've missed the in part of two. Just add it in. Which
would explain why Pam was so hesitant to get a trach hole drilled in her by Archer. Which also, he was drunk and holding a knife,
but what if maybe that is a connection?
My brain is firing tonight.
Greg is on it.
I most certainly am. I'm always on it.
This is one of those shows where you usually don't need those deep connections like that, but what if that really could be a case?
Yeah. Speaking of cases, I'm not even trying anymore. It's the season.
When were you trying?
I don't know.
Cases of $2 Chuck, is that what?
Exactly. Okay. I had my whole bug out bag before I came on the show tonight.
And then he's gonna hang himself.
Let's just talk about where this season went. And I know that's a very open-ended question, because I'm like, where did it go? Yes. The time just flew. We had so much fun. But no, there was a lot of stuff that was going on this season that kind of held over all the way from episode 1 to the very end there, to episode 13, when we're down under the sea. My personal favorite transition, I guess, was Lana as starting as really confident and collected, and how she's always been, to sort of breaking her down throughout the season emotionally, and now she's also in a very physically vulnerable place because
there's a baby in her.
She's got a bun in the oven, as it were.
For those of you who don't know, bun in the oven is a colloquial term, meaning she got knocked up by some jizz.
Hey now.
Oh, I thought it was just like someone put a hamburger in an oven for some reason.
That's a weird one.
Confused.
The more you know.
That's what I thought.
Or like a bread pond they put in that has the yeast rows.
John, any big developments you've seen throughout the season?
Well, I think the big one is that we finally see Archer own up. He told Lana he loves her.
Yeah, drop the L-bomb.
Right before he drowned.
I mean, if that's when you're going to tell someone
that's when
that
that's
you
when
love
you're
someone,
gonna,
that's when you're going to do it, is because your brain is going to die, which is not, that's where emotions come from, not the heart.
Right.
But
your heart's gonna die too. So
I'll bounce off of that. I think we saw a lot of character growth in Archer, except for that last week's episode where he's hit rock bottom again with his drinking. But for the most part, a lot of character growth and development for Archer, because we saw before that the episode with the dog where he was telling the dog and about to tell the dog that he still had feelings for Lana, and kind of actually thinking about what he was doing a little bit more than he usually does. So I feel like this season we had a lot more growth in the characters than we usually do in previous seasons.
Yeah, Archer with a selfless act in this episode, which is a rare thing.
And then even just overall, the stories have more arcs to them than they usually do. It kind of like parallels, like Mallory's husband that kind of played throughout the entire show. So I think we're seeing it kind of come together more, as opposed to random offshoot episodes that don't have anything to do with each other.
Scott, how about you?
Yeah, kind of from all the above. I think we've gotten to learn more about character development. There's been some real progress with Archer, but with all the characters, I feel a little bit this year. I mean, Mallory, maybe not so much. Maybe we've learned
Mallory
more that
descending
she's
into
got her
pure
evilness
evil.
and her craziness. But there's been like an expansion of characters and family. Like again with Mallory with the husband. Learning about Cheryl Carroll's brother, and he was in these last 2 episodes. You know, we now know that Mallory still has a living mom, which, again, as I said previously in predictions, I hope we see her next season.
Save it for predictions.
Yes, but I'm just saying, like, that's what we were talking about before, and you know, now Pam has a sister, and it's just I feel like it's just a growth process for everybody. We're getting to learn more and more about these people, maybe their backgrounds, their family, which will now kind of expand, I think, as we go into the new season next year.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention again, animation on Archer has gotten beautiful. Top notch.
Incredible.
There's a great look that Cyril gave right when he found out he wasn't the father. Speaking of the animation, I just want to throw that out there. Go back and watch it if you missed it. He just gives this, like, his eyes sort of pop a little bit. And like it was a great look of disbelief.
I mean, the animation was great between the dog earlier in the season. Also, like I was talking about before, I still have that fear of heights, and when Lana's flying off the skyscraper, I mean, it was just so intense. That animation was incredible. So,
and a lot of 3D this season too.
Awesome, yeah, this year.
Yeah, which was great for the chases, and I think that's actually an important distinction to make, is between the animation of like 3D chases and falling out of skyscrapers to character design, which Dave is what you were saying, is that all throughout the season, we're like, oh, that look that he gave, that look, the dog is so expressive. It's just
and the details and everything about
details through character design.
They're getting the monies for the animations.
That's right.
Yeah.
It shows.
They must be getting a lot of positive comments on iTunes.
Which is the only way people make money
Maybe
anymore.
we can be animated next year then.
That'd be amazing.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
God.
You don't even have to come in.
They must not be giving all their money to charities.
Is it time for the Theremin?
It is time for the Theremin. The last Theremin of the season, as it were.
Oh, God. There it is.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Spooky scary.
It is.
All right, John, cue it up.
Predict something.
All right, well, I'm going to go on what I said just a few minutes ago. I want to see Bub. I want to see Mallory's mom next season. I want to see who she is. I want to know where this all began, because it starts with her. It starts with Bub. Let's bring that next year.
I'm going to say,
Predict something.
I think we're going to find out Mallory, she was a lot more evil this season. What if it has to do with being married again, and that's why she's so much more evil? And I'm going to go on a limb here and say Archer's the father.
You're really going on a limb there.
Okay.
Even though we have not heard anything of them having sex ever in the past 2 years, I'm still going to go on a limb and say that.
Predict something.
I predict that Lana's baby is going to eat its way out of her, and when Archer
As a
looks
zombie?
upon it for the first time, he's going to imprint himself so that he falls in love with it then and there. And although he doesn't feel attracted to it then, in 16 years' time, 18 years' time,
I think 16,
however,
right?
then he realizes that it's true love and they bond together.
Did you just
Archer is
finish
Twilight.
Twilight? Is that what happened here?
No.
Archer is Twilight. You didn't see the similarities all season?
I guess, you know what, now that you say it,
They've
I
all been
get it.
sparkling in the sunlight.
John,
Predict something.
Wait.
They have amazing abs.
We're going to see, obviously, I think we're going to see Lana's usefulness in the field drop off. We're going to see
Maybe not.
Pam take her spot. And that's my main thing, yeah.
All right.
It'll be interesting to see.
Well, everyone, that wraps it up for this entire season of Archer.
Right.
Good Lord. I've been
so
Greg
sad.
Goodness. You can find me on the
Sunrise,
tweets
sunset.
at Generic Maverick.
What tweets?
John Barrett here, at J. Dugan Barrett on the Twitters.
Hey guys, I'm Dave Klein. You can find me on Twitter at @TheDaveKlein. That's Klein. And make sure to check out, if you guys are video gamers, you love video games, AfterBuzz starting their first video game webcast this Saturday. Saturday, the 13th, April 13th,
Yeah.
noon to 1 p.m. Pacific time. Make sure to check it out. It's me, I've been working in the game industry for a few years,
you
and a bunch
have.
of my industry friends all together chatting games with you guys. Live chat, check it out. We'll chat with you.
Good times.
And you.
And you can find me at S-Man80.
All right.
All right, guys.
Check us out next season.
That's right.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you next season.
Buzz you later.
Yeah. Buzz you next season.
Butts.
I almost
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.